Okay, so now we're going to do the second part of the motion tracking. We're going to do the Blender work. So rather than using the 3D viewport, we're going to go up to here and we're going to go to the movie clip editor, and this will basically be where we do our tracking. Up here we're going to go open and we will find our sequence, which is going to be on the desktop. Blender tracking. It's going to take a while, I don't know why. Then it will open the folder, and then inside will be my sequence, which I got from this clip. And just click on the first image of the sequence, and what we'll get is this loaded in. Be quite slow to scroll through, so we got to do a couple of things. The first thing is we've got to set the scene frames up here, and that will trim it to 175, which is the length of the sequence. And then the next thing we do is something called prefetch. We press that, and what it will do is this little bar will go along the bottom and it will load in the frames one by one, so that when we go through it, it will be real time. It's loading them into the RAM. Okay, so we have three sections. We have track, solve, and annotation, and we just need to worry about the track at the moment. And then we've got a bunch of settings, and I'm going to show you how to do those. So we'll click open all of these things, and the first thing we want to do is it's going to, I'll just bring this out a little bit, it's going to ask what motion model you want to track with, and we want to track with something called affine, which will basically track the location, the rotation, skew, scale, all that kind of stuff. And the next setting we need to do is we need to change this thing, the correlation, and we need to make that 0.9. And that means, the correlation means how confident is that the previous frame and the next frame are similar, and it's a very high probability, and it just means that we're going to get a clean track without having to do a lot of cleanup later. Then the next thing up here is we've got footage, and we need to go to track, and that's quite important, and we need to kind of do that first. The final thing is, there's a lot of setting up here, but we need to go into the footage settings and go to color management and make this standard, not filmic, because filmic, you can see there's a slight difference and it will affect, we don't want any color correction, we just want it as it is. So next up we need to look for track points. So if we go through our footage, we can see that this kind of grate here is staying in the middle, so that's probably a good place to start to look for places to track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a place in here, and I think that if we zoom in we can see there's lots of bits on here that look quite good. So I'm going to track maybe this little kind of thing here. So I'm going to go and add a tracker, and then when you click on here, then the track will appear. And what it will do is it gives a little preview of where your track is, and that's there, and it gives a little box. This is what it's going to track. And then if we go to clip display up here, what we want to look for is search, and that's also Alt S. Press Alt S, and it will also, this is your search area, how much it will search for. If you make it really big, then it will take ages to search, and if you make it really small, it'll be really quick, but it might not be very accurate. So what it's going to be doing is looking for this pattern. Look at it black and white, it's looking for this pattern. And so in here, this is what it's inherited from this, but you can change it per keyframe, but we're not. So this is all good, and then I'm going to track it. And then the tracking is done in here, and what you do is you go to this one or this one. You can track forwards or backwards, but it's better to go forwards because it's faster, I don't know why. So I'm going to go track, and I'm going to get through, and it got through to frame like 39, which is not bad, but we'll make the track size bigger, and I'm going to go onto here and I'm going to lock to selection, and it just centers it. And then we're going to track again, and it got pretty far, it got to 160, and what we care about is not the shape of this box or the outside box, but what we care about is this dot in the middle. And if you look at it, you can see that that's staying pretty solid. And then here it seems to get confused, God knows why. and then got confused again. So it's maybe this sort of box is getting a bit weird. And then we'll just, and we made it nearly to the end. So it's important to make it to the end, and then there. So we've done a track all the way through, and now we're going to lock it. So this one's good. There's quite a bit of distortion, which I'm not really liking, but the point is staying pretty close. So next up, we're going to find another one, and I reckon I'm going to go for this little dot here. So we go back to the beginning, so all the way back, and I'm going to make this one, because we've got the center to selection, it's kind of doing that. And I'm going to click on that one. That looks pretty good. And then we're going to go through. And so far so good. Whee! And so it made it all the way through. If it makes it all the way through, it generally means it's a really solid track, and we'll stick with it. I quite like the look of that dot up there, so I'm going to go to add, and actually I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning, and then I'm going to move this. It kind of adds it, sort of an arbitrary place otherwise. So I'm going to click on that. That looks pretty good. It's quite a nice dark tone. Make it a bit bigger. Go through, see how good we get with that. So far so good, all the way to the end. So again, now what we've got is we've got 3 really solid tracks, and we go back to the beginning. Some of these little dots look quite good, so I'm going to go for one of those, because this one's got like a nice black and white image with it as well. Make the search area quite big. See how far we get. Got to frame 77, pretty good. Make it a little bit bigger. Sometimes that's all it takes, is just making the search area a little bit bigger. And I'm struggling a bit because the camera is moving, so it struggles to kind of cope with the motion blur. So we'll lock that. And so now what we've got is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 really good tracks. I quite like the look of that one. It's good to kind of pick a nice variety of tracks to make sure that they are good spaces apart at different levels, up and down, and different depths. So some quite close to the camera, some quite far away. And we'll track this one, see how we go. So it likes that one, so we'll lock that. And then I'm going to add another one. I reckon some of these other things could be good. Yeah, I mean, some of these on the wall look alright. I'm going to go for that one, which is here. I think that looks like a pretty good place. I might be proved wrong on this. So, I'm right at the end. So remember to go to the beginning, because what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are at the beginning. It just will make your life easier if we're at the beginning. So get it nice and centered. And we got quite far actually, further than I thought. And you can see it's kind of got a little bit distorted. And we want to just kind of make that stay relatively centered. And I'm going to clear any extra frames ahead and then go again. And we got to the end, so that's good. And we're going to lock it. So now you can see these lines here all looking really kind of consistent, and that's kind of what we want. We want them to be consistent. There's a weird one going on here. I don't know what's going on with that. So we're going to just press X and delete it. Let's go back to the beginning, and we can, I reckon this one looks pretty good here, so I'm going to add one there because it looks quite black and white. Make a nice big search area, and let's track forward. Ooh, got to 40, which is not great, but I'm going to keep it same aspect. Let's track again. You don't have to see it, but it would be nice to kind of at least have an idea of where it is. Okay, it's looking good because it's trying to skew round to try and find it, and it's struggling a little bit. And I don't know. There was a bit of movement on that, which I wasn't really liking, because it's really solid here, and then it sort of jumps. So that is not good, because if we get a big jump like that, it means that the track is going to be really off. So I'm going to clear all of that, and I'm going to go forward 1 frame. So there's something there that it doesn't like, and that is not good. So we need to kind of like change the scale. That's better. And again, it made it, but it jumped just there. And so you have to kind of, you can't really switch off when you're tracking, because if you do, then you'll get stuff like that. And again, it moved. There. So I'm going to clear all of that and make my search area a bit bigger. Go, well, it's just not liking that. And in fact, I'm going to make it smaller. That might work. Clear it above. There. So now I'm not feeling too confident about that one, but it's data. I'm also going to go and track these two, because I think that these are good. So my hand is in front of my face, probably not very helpful for you guys listening. Nice big search box, and let's track forward. And again, there seems to be like a point where the camera is moving a lot at frame 40. So let's try again. And that's good, it made it all the way through. We'll lock it, and then we'll go back to the beginning, and now we've got quite a lot of tracks, but the more the merrier. If you can, the more tracks you can make, the better, because it's going to be a more accurate camera solve, in terms of like you'll figure out where the camera is more accurately if the more tracks you have. It's quite boring doing this in some ways, but it's quite zen as well. Some people kind of quite like doing it. I'm going to add one more. This one is quite, I want to kind of make that quite big, and then track that through. And again, 40, that frame seemingly is the sticking point. That's pretty good, kind of like that. There's also some kind of spots here. I want to grab those as well, because this is going to be the sort of the ground that we put things on, and so we want to make sure that that is, we want to get some track points on the actual ground, because frame 40, and then, because the ground is really important in terms of kind of where we're positioning. We'll be finally positioning our 3D object. So getting that kind of locked down is quite important. It's kind of struggling with that one a little bit. There's a bit of me which is sort of tempted to kind of maybe give up on it, but I'm going to stick with it for now. I mean, we're really struggling with this one. We're having to do quite a lot of adjustments as we go, which is never a good sign. I'm going to lock that, and then I want to see if this, I'm checking out this one here to see if that stays in frame, and it doesn't. It leaves frame a bit. That's always, this one is quite good because it's kind of quite, it's kind of light and dark, and it's kind of got a nice look to it. So I'm going to give that a go. Well, not that good. And I'm just going to scale it up, go through once. It's struggling. Again, it's that frame 40. I think there's a lot of camera movement, and so it's struggling to follow the camera point. So, and then here we're struggling again. Just going to rotate it round, and again it's struggling a little bit. And just going to go one frame. Nearly, and one frame, and make it to the end, and then we'll lock it. So right, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 track points. That's loads. I might be tempted to see if there's other ones that are worth tracking. This one down here is quite good, so I might track that as well, because it's seemingly staying in. You can never have too many, which I know seems a bit overkill to have this many, but it really isn't, because what we're looking for is kind of a nice shape, and maybe this is not that nice a shape. I'll make the search area much bigger. Yeah, maybe this is not going to work. Because if they leave frame, it becomes very, very complicated. Because some of these do. There's quite a good black spot I see here, so I'm going to grab that and zoom in. Let's get to selection. That looks pretty good. Make it nice and big. And let's track it. And sometimes if you just go one frame, it has a bit more confidence, because this is getting a little bit skewed. Don't know why. Make search area much bigger. And that frame seems to be the sort of the prime. This one might not be a super great track, but we will try and continue with it. Getting a bit, if it keeps failing like that, then it normally means it's not a great track, but I'm going to keep persevering with it just to show you what to do. So this is yeah, we got it, but I don't think it's that good. Okay, so that's the kind of the tracking done, and we've got like lots and lots of tracks. The more the merrier. This one could be good here. Maybe some of these sort of like spots along here could work out as well. But this is probably enough, and so I'm just going to go File, Save As, and save this as. So I'm saving this as track 1. And go save, and then we're done.